Hello everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new album by the indie rock synth pop band MGMT with their fifth record, Loss of Life. So it's been over 6 years since the Little Dark Age record came out, which spawned the big hit Little Dark Age, and I'm quite surprised how that was a commercial success, following what was a stream of hits back on their first record, Auricular Spectacular, and I don't know why I even struggle to pronounce that, but you can definitely tell from the first record to now there's a huge shift in their sound in terms of at least some of the vibe and energy. The first album especially had a little bit more energy and buzz to it with the singles. Just the singles alone you could point out, like Time to Pretend, Electric Feel and Kids had a lot more of this a little higher energy buzz to it, blending in with the indie rock sound, but here we kind of get less of that vibe, and around this point they've really redefined sort of just been exploring more into the sound they really want to dive into. So it's not a bad thing. I don't think they're necessarily getting less energetic just because they want to go down this more mundane path. I feel the reason they're doing it is just because, like I said, they want to explore more creative ideas, and honestly I'm all for it, especially since there is still some tracks with just a bit of buzz that I quite enjoy from it. But as a whole, I think it's more the instrumentation and concept they're trying to build for that makes this record intriguing to me. Now, despite all the stuff I want to say in a minute, MGMT's record here, Loss of Life, probably is my least favourite out of the five, but I don't consider it to be a bad record at all. I feel this one is a passable good record for me. There's some great tracks for sure. Bubblegum Dog, Nothing Changes are already two highlights of this record, especially Bubblegum Dog. I just love the energy and vibe to it, as well as Mother Nature being a pretty great track and a good way to start off with the first proper song that isn't Loss of Life Part 2, which is more of just like a little intro. And I find it weird that Loss of Life Part 2 is the first Loss of Life track in the track list, and then you get the final track, Loss of Life, which I will admit is a great track as well, especially the ending, just the way kind of the electronic, I wouldn't say distortion, but the way the electronics just sort of build up that energy towards the end just makes it pretty fun and worthwhile. I will say I wish this album was a bit more consistent, because I find around Phradie's song and I Wish I Was Joking to be kind of some of the more weaker written tracks. I just feel in terms of most of the singles, especially even with Dancing with Babylon, which I think structure wise I kind of wish had a bit more payoff, because I feel like the payoff of this track isn't a bit underwhelming. Those two tracks I don't think necessarily carry the weight of how strong the other tracks are. I think they just kind of thrown in towards the end and just there, in my opinion. I don't really have much else to say than that for those two, but I feel this album is very single heavy, but even then Nothing Changes is one of my top ones, and Loss of Life too, which aren't singles. So I think it's a mixture between some great singles and great non-singles, but the way that it's just kind of lumped almost all the new tracks towards the end, I don't think that's necessarily done some of the tracks justice. But bands do it often. I know a lot of bands that lump all the singles at the start of the record, so you know you're familiar with it, and then you're just diving into a bunch of new songs. I just think it's a weird track listing idea, but what can you say? After the album's out and you keep listening to it, then they're just all gonna connect and feel a lot more familiar to you. But I don't know, I just think the way that it's kind of structured, I wish Phradie's song was closer to the start of the album, and I Wish I Was Joking was just bumped a little bit higher on the track list. But that's just me trying to find a pacing issue with it. I think, in other words, this is a good MGMT record with some fun ideas. It's not the MGMT that I'm the biggest fan of, but I feel like in terms of the more trying to explore a bit more of a psychedelia or neo-psychedelia kind of area, and I think that's fine for what the band wants to do. I don't really have much else to say than that, to be honest. MGMT just come back. They got some bangers on this one. It's not the most consistent record, but I think MGMT made an album that's worthwhile, and after 6 years of Little Dark Age, it's not the best follow-up, but it's still an album I think is worth the wait, especially since I know this one would be a big hit with the fans. But yeah, that's just my opinion on that one. I will give this record a 3 out of 5. I think there is some good to it that I do quite enjoy. I just wish there was a bit more, especially with Dancing in Babylon. I love the guest feature with Christine and the Queen, but I feel like they was trying to build up to a chorus, and it just doesn't really go anywhere with it. It just kind of has that weak payoff to it, but again, that is just a me thing. But yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next video. Also, heads up, because there is a lot of stuff coming out, this is the last review for February that isn't going to be on the Feb albums of the month video. So there's going to be a February one because there's a lot of stuff. I've already got a bunch of stuff pretty much recorded and ready for it, so that should be coming out at some point. Anyway, take care, bye.